I'm looking for something with performance, and I'm also looking for something with space, but not too much space. It's got to be a Porsche Macan, surely. Now today I'm here at FTR Performance, and it's going to be part of my 10-minute series where I'm going to jump in a car that's here, because there are some cars that you guys will definitely be interested in, and give you my first drive impression and of course what I actually feel about the car. And luckily today's a Porsche Macan video, and there's plenty. We've got this one here in Carmine Red, which is a GTS. We've also got a GTS here as well, and then we've also got one over here and one at the back, and then there's a Cayenne just here. So there's a reason why these cars are here. Number one, they're good value for money, and obviously Greg would not be buying them in or taking them as part exchange, of course, if he didn't think he could shift them. These are very good cars. And now, of course, being a BMW fanboy, I'm going to turn around and say, yes, the M cars in the X series make sense, but they're also very heavy, and I'm not sure how much the X has got in terms of performance. But at the end of the day, a Porsche is a Porsche. So is this going to be the best performance SUV? Let's jump in that one and find out. Okay, so first start up, and I'm already loving it because everything in here feels very analog. You've got no digital buttons, you've got an actual twist to start, no push to start, twist, and listen to this, 2.9 V6. The steering wheel, everything about this car just screams performance. GTS, what are you saying? So we are out in the Porsche Macan GTS. Now this is a 2020 model with, excuse the pun, 20,000 miles on the clock, and it feels like a brand new car. It feels nice and stiff, as Porsches do, because everything about them is just performance. But at the same time, we've got loads of buttons, probably too many buttons down here, which allow me to turn this thing from a nice gentle cruiser, as we are here with this PDK cruising along here in 6th gear, to then using this nice little switch on the steering wheel to sport, to sports plus, and of course individual. But we'll put it back in normal mode and just cruise along here, and you would not even know that this car has got tons of performance in it. I can't wait for this road to open up, which it will do in a little while just here. So the engine's been warm because we've let it do its thing. We've put it in sports plus, so it's tightened everything up. We're in 3rd gear now. We're going to let the PDK do what it needs to do because it's a great gearbox. And we also have crackles out of the back. And one thing I love about this, I'm not sure whether all of the Porsche cars do it, but the cabin sound is amazing. It's not too intrusive, and at the same time it's also enough to allow the sound to come into the car without having to either open up this pan roof, because it does have this as an option, or wind the window down. But first things first, let me just lower the temperature in here because I'm enjoying this and I'm quite warm. And also, in case I haven't forgotten, on the clusters here that are in front of us, again very analog, we also have the digital one, which I don't mind, and it's an all-wheel drive car. And what you can actually see is how much torque is being passed on the rear as opposed to the front. So at the minute it's in a very rear wheel driven bias, if that makes any sense. But we're now gonna knock that to the left and really experience the PDK. So knocking down the gear, 2nd gear, squeeze it in. Oh, listen to that. Oh, get me one of these. Oh man, you just cannot beat a Porsche. And if you haven't driven one, something I've got to say, and this is going to sound a bit silly, you don't need to be going fast to really enjoy a Porsche. You can just use the handling, enjoy the engine. It's a different type of drive. Now, whacking this thing back into drive and using this sports chrono knob to go back into normal, I've got to give it its positives. Straight off the bat, interior is great, the seats feel great, and I actually have had the newest gen on the channel before, and I'm going to be honest, I quite prefer this. The newer gen, sure, it does look very similar, but on the interior there's a lot going on. You've got analog switches. By that I mean you've got buttons you can just physically press, traction control, suspension, everything. But again, where this does have the sports chrono package, you don't really need to play with all of those buttons. All you need to do is have a switch on the steering wheel into sports plus, tightens everything up, gives you that nice responsive feel. Again, second gear, put your foot down, it just wants to go all day long. And this suspension, even though it is in the harshest setting, it does not feel hard at all. When it comes to performance, within reasonable money anyway, it's got to be a Porsche. And again, if you do want space, the Cayenne, or the Cayenne, depending on what part of the country you're from, is a great option. But for me, big isn't always a good thing. Sometimes the smaller ones feel a bit more nimble and, in my opinion, look better. And in terms of space, up front there is loads of it. And again, when you do have a pan roof in any car, the car naturally feels bigger because you just have more space. It's like, imagine having the world's smallest living room and then taking the ceiling off and then obviously having it exposed to the elements. It would be a bit noisier, but with that you have more light, and more light normally means more space. So tick that option if you can, or just get this car. Now, even in the rear, having set up the seat as I have, I've managed to get in the rear, and being brutally honest, there's not loads of space, but there's enough space to sit there without feeling annoyed that you're in the back, although you probably want to be in this seat right here. For a car that is this small in terms of SUVs, you've got obviously the Cayenne. I'm quite surprised. Oh, Cayenne, I'm not sure if I'm mispronouncing it. If I am, oh well. But there is enough space in here to do what you need to do. That's your daily duties, taking it out, going for a nice hoon in the morning. It just does it all very well. And again, it's an SUV. I've always said performance SUVs are pointless, but how Porsche have set this one up, it just makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, mate. Go ahead, mate, because I'm going to send it at this junction. Go ahead, mate. I'm not going to let you go, love, because you're not indicating. Yeah, well, where are you going? No one knows. But one thing I do know is that when this is in manual, it just wants to go. And that PDK that everybody bangs on about, you can you know why. The whole setup is just so tight. Such a good car. So when it comes to performance SUVs, if you can, definitely look for a Porsche. And if you are smart and you probably want more performance as opposed to unnecessary amounts of space, it's this. All day, every day. Second gear, crazy the amount of grip and performance this thing gives you. It's almost like it's on rails. And I know it's four-wheel drive, but it's an SUV. It shouldn't feel the way this feels. So I have just had a word with Greg, and he's extremely busy. I promise you he does exist. It's not just some random name I've made up. But that is the car I just took out with around 20,000 miles. This is the newer gen, and that's £57,000. 57 great British pounds. This is the older generation, 30,000 miles, and I quite like it. Again, same engine. It is a GTS just over here. You can see it is a GTS, I promise you. But round the back is slightly different. So round the back here, you can see it doesn't have the bar that goes all the way across like this one does. But look at the wheels. I actually prefer the wheels on the older gen. This is quite retro-like in terms of 911. I think there's a new, I forgot the new Porsche 911 that has these wheels, the Dakar, that's it. It looks like Dakar wheels, but this has got very German BMW vibes, probably why I like it more. But what do you think? And in terms of the interior, this doesn't have the chrono pack, as you can see just down here. There isn't a knob to change the modes, but you can of course do that all down there. It's a very similar interior. Not much has changed, because with Porsche making cars the way they do, they're good cars. There's not much to change. So let me know, are you new gen or old gen? Again, not much difference, not much to write home about. But personally, for the money, I would go for this. I would go for that 27 grand less. Sure, it's a slightly different front end, but you'd really have to look to notice. You notice more of it on the rear. I'm sorry, it's a great car, but I'd go for this. So I'm not apologizing because it's still a win. If you want more information, make sure you head over to FDR Performance description down here. Speak to Greg and the team and they'll be more than happy to help. This has been, I've tried anyway, to do a 10-minute review. So stay tuned for more of these videos with FDR Performance and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Subscribe, like, and stay blessed.